Satoru Fujinuma is a 29-year-old man and the main protagonist of the series. He wanted to be a successful manga artist but failed at it because his stories were dull. He also works as a part-time delivery boy. Satoru has an ability that sends him back 1 to 5 minutes in time whenever something bad happens to correct it. He calls this ability revival. One day, when Satoru was on his way to deliver, he experienced a revival. He looked around and saw a truck driver sleeping, and the truck was about to hit a kid. He rushed towards the truck and changed its direction. He protected the kid, but a car from the oncoming lane hit him. When he gained consciousness in the hospital, he saw his co-worker Eri sitting beside him. She asked him how he knew about the driver being dead. He said that it was just a coincidence. Later, Satoru was discharged from the hospital and went home. At his home, he found his mother, Sachiko. She had come from Hokkaido to look after him after his accident. During dinner, they discussed the events that took place 18 years ago, when Satoru was 10. 3 girls were kidnapped and murdered coldly, and Satoru's older friend Yuki was blamed for it. The next day, Satoru and her mother went shopping. While coming out of the store, Satoru experienced another revival. This time he was unable to detect anything, but his mother saw a man standing with a girl near a van. The man noticed her and left the girl. Sachiko realized that the man was trying to kidnap the girl. Sachiko, after giving it a deep thought, realized that the man was someone she knew, and further investigation confirmed it. He was also the real culprit behind the kidnappings and murders 18 years ago. She reached home because she wanted to tell Satoru about it, but then someone entered the house and stabbed Sachiko to death. It was the same man she saw near the store in the afternoon. Satoru came back home and saw her mother's lifeless body. He was shocked. His neighbor came to his home to return the dishes but saw Satoru with blood on his hands and Sachiko dead. She called the police, but Satoru, out of fear and perplexity, tried to run away. He fell down the balcony but woke up near his school, 18 years before. It was a revival. Satoru realized that what just happened was a revival. An 18-year-long revival that had sent him back to the time when he was in school. It was a chance he had given to prevent the kidnapping and murders that took place in 1988, and also the murder of his mother. He went back to his home and saw his mother. He was really happy. He determines that he'll save everyone. He sets out to save the first victim, Kayo Hinazuki, his classmate. He tried to become her friend but soon realized that she had been treated badly at home by her mother. Satoru's friend saw him making moves to befriend Kayo. He told Satoru to read the essay she had written in the class essay book. It was titled The Town Without Me. This essay hinted at how troubled Kayo is with her daily life. She wanted to leave everyone behind and go to a secluded island. Now Satoru was even more eager to save her. He invited her to his birthday party on March 2nd. Satoru had a skating competition with one of his classmates, and he lost by himself to not let the boy feel low. He realized that it was the same mistake he had made 18 years ago. While trying to know Kayo's birth date, Satoru bumped into Yashiro. He told him that her birthday was on the same day as his. Satoru remembers that in the newspaper, Kayo was 10 years old when her body was found, which means that her murder took place before her 11th birthday. At the park, Satoru met Yuki and spent some time with him. This gave him another reason and a person to protect. Satoru went to Kayo's house to look for her, but saw her footprints near the storeroom. He opened the door and found her lying inside, injured and in bad condition. Soon her mother, Akemi, arrived and forced Kayo to tell him that she fell down. She took her inside and sent Satoru back to his house. The next day, Satoru discussed this matter with his class teacher, Gaku Yashiro. Yashiro told him that he had also seen the bruises on her body and had taken the youth welfare club members to her house, but her mother had always escaped. Later in the class, Kayo was blamed for stealing the students' lunch money by her classmate. Satoru defended Kayo, and Yashiro settled the matter. In the evening, while walking home together, Satoru took Kayo to a special place. They went to see a giant Christmas tree while holding hands. After a few days, Satoru invited Kayo to the science center to prevent her from meeting with her mother. Satoru realized that 18 years ago he came to the science center. The next day, which was the day of the abduction, Satoru spent the whole day with Kayo at the youth center. In the evening, he walked Kayo to her home and waited till midnight. He was relieved when nothing happened and went back to his home. The next day, Satoru and Kayo went to the supermarket to do some shopping for their birthday party. When they reached home, they were given a surprise welcome by all of his friends. They enjoyed the party and were very happy. The next day, Satoru was late for school because he overslept. As he entered the classroom, he realized that Kayo was not there. It came to him as a great shock that he was unable to save Kayo. He had only stalled the incident for one day. A few days later, the news of the second victim, Aya Nakanishi, reached Satoru. He was depressed, but when he crossed Kayo's house and saw her mother throwing out Kayo's belongings, he fell into despair and started running away. He was angry at him and at every other thing as well, but when he opened his eyes, he saw himself back in the day, in 2006, in his real identity as a 29-year-old man. He he was still wanted on the charge of his mother's murder. He got a call from his restaurant manager, who asked him to take shelter at his place, but it turned out to be a trap. The manager had secretly called the police. While trying to escape, he found Eri, who rescued him and told him that she believed in him. The next day, Satoru did some research on the incidents of 1988, which showed that Kaio's age had changed from 10 to 11 years. This made Satoru realize that his actions in the past did have some impact on the present. The manager suspected Eri of having Satoru hidden in her house, but was caught by her. Satoru knew about it and hid under a bridge. Eri was packing some stuff for Satoru when she received a message from him saying to stay at home. She then realized the smoke was filling her room as her house was on fire. Satoru arrived and saw that Eri hadn't come out yet. He rushed inside the building and took Eri, but due to the smoke, he was having difficulty. Just then, the manager arrived and helped him. He told Satoru to go out the other way to avoid the police. Meanwhile, Eri had placed her cell phone inside Satoru's pocket. When Satoru was out, he noticed Eri's phone and saw the message. He called a journalist friend of his mother. He met him, and Sawada told him about the official reports of the kidnapping and murder cases of 1988. These cases were connected together because Sachiko had found out about the true identity of the perpetrator and was killed by him. Later, Satoru met Eri under the bridge, but then the police arrived and took Satoru with them. While going with the police in handcuffs, Satoru saw a familiar man wearing a hat. This was unacceptable for him as he hadn't saved anyone. He was not ready to give up. Just then, another revival hit him and took him back to 1988, the day when he was at the science center. The next day at school, Kenya met Satoru and told him about the strong change in his character. He told him that he'd help him save Kaio. In the evening, Satoru and Kaio were again surprised and welcomed for their birthday party like last time. Everything was going like it had the last time, and Satoru wanted to change the course of action. He left the party and went to Yuki's house, breaking his window with a rock. He then went after Kaio's mother, Akemi, and tried to push her down the stairs of an overhead bridge, but was stopped at the last moment by Kenya. Kenya told him that there must be other ways to prevent these incidents without hurting people. Satoru agreed, and they went home. While coming back with Kaio, Satoru told her about his plan to hide her inside an abandoned bus for a few days. Kaio agreed to this and spent her first day on the bus. However, on the second day, at night, an unknown man entered the bus while Kaio was sleeping. Kaio thought it was Satoru but soon realized that it was someone else bumping into the sound of his footsteps. He kicked a cardboard box and left his backpack there. Kaio hid from him and waited until he left. She was scared. The next day, March 3rd, Yashiro told Satoru that he had told the youth welfare office about Kaio's disappearance, and they'd visit her mother in the evening. On the same day, on the bus, Kaio asked Satoru to stay with her tonight, as she was afraid of the unknown man who came last night. She told them about his backpack in the cardboard box. Satoru realized that the contents of this backpack were quite similar to the tools that the perpetrator used for the murders. Satoru realized that they were in the killer's hideout. It was the most dangerous place to hide Kaio, so he took her to his home. Her mother accepted Kaio, and they spent the night together. In the morning, Kaio cried as she saw the first homemade breakfast of her life. Satoru's mother comforted her. She then went back to her home, with Satoru and his mother accompanying her. Akemi was furious with them. She took a shovel and tried to hit Kaio, but then realized it was the officials of the youth welfare club. She tried to take Kaio to the police but saw her own mother. Akemi's mother fell on her knees and asked forgiveness, as she had not supported her during her time with her abusive ex-husband. She was burdened with the management of everything along with Kaio. Akemi and her mother cried together to release the stress that they were having. She told Akemi that she'd take good care of Kaio. Kaio thanked Satoru and went with her grandmother. Now that he had saved Kaio, Satoru located the second victim, Aya Nakanishi, a student at a neighboring school. Satoru started following her throughout the day to learn about her routine. While following her in the evening, Satoru bumped into his mother, who asked her to pick up the shopping bags for her. As they started walking, his teacher, Yashiro, saw them and offered them a ride. Satoru saw candy coming out of the left compartment of Yashiro's car. He pulled it out and was surprised by the overwhelming amount of candy in it. Yashiro told him about his habit of smoking, which he had left and is trying to compensate for with the candies. The next day, Satoru and his friends introduced themselves to Aya, but were rejected by her. His friend Kazu was able to persuade her to come to their hideout. After a few days, Satoru realized that Kazu and Aya were doing well, so he shifted his focus from Aya to the third victim, Hiromi Sujita, Satoru's classmate, and her friend. Yashiro was having his speech at the graduation ceremony. He told them about all the successes and failures they had seen. Even after that, they should not stop and try to achieve all of the goals they had in life. Hiromi was actually a boy who liked to be a girl. While walking home, she told Satoru about Misato, the girl who blamed Kaio for stealing. She was excluded by her classmates after her incident with Kayo. Satoru thought to himself that Misato could become the next potential victim, so he tried following her. He went after her to the hockey stadium but soon lost her. While trying to find her, Satoru met Yashiro, who told him about Misato going out of the building. Outside, he saw Yuki's father's van leaving the building. Satoru told Yashiro to chase the van. During their chase, Yashiro went the other way and told Satoru that he was the real culprit behind all the incidents, and he was not happy with Satoru as he had destroyed all of his plans in the last few weeks. It was his plan to use Misato and lure Satoru to the stadium so that he could take his revenge. Yashiro drove his car to a frozen lake where he used a football on the accelerator and sent the car to drown in the lake. Satoru was unable to come out as the seatbelt was locked by Yashiro. Satoru was drowning in the icy water. All of the memories of his life were flashing before his eyes. After 15 years, in 2003, Satoru opened his eyes after returning from the coma. Her mother had taken care of him every day for 15 years. Satoru's body was weak, but he was making rapid progress with physiotherapy. Even though his body was showing signs of recovery, his mind and memories were still hazy. His friends Kenya and Hiromi came to meet him. This helped him remember some of his memories and the time he had spent with them. Later, Kayo also paid Satoru a visit with her baby. She is married to Hiromi. The baby held Satoru's finger in his hand. This made Satoru very happy and he started crying. While Satoru was out in the garden, he met Yashiro, who was eagerly waiting for him to wake up from the coma. Yashiro is now a politician with the fake name Nishizono. He was acting as if nothing had happened between them, but Satoru's meeting with Kayo had helped him regain his memories regarding Yashiro and the incidents of 1988. Satoru knew that Yashiro had formed a bond with him over the last 15 years and would not harm him. This was proven when Satoru tried to fall off the roof and was rescued by Yashiro at the last moment. Yashiro realized that he really could not live without Satoru, so he tried to kill himself. He threw Satoru from the roof and was about to jump too, but he saw Satoru safe on an airbag laid by Hiromi and Kenya. Satoru had planned this when he had his memories returned. He had told Kenya about everything that had happened in the past. Yashiro was overwhelmed by this feeling. He was caught by the police for all of his crimes. After his complete recovery, Satoru followed his passion once again and became a successful manga artist. He met all of his friends who had grown up and had a party with them. He also met Yuki, who was now married and had children. Satoru was happy that he had saved everyone. One day, when Satoru was sitting under the bridge, he saw Eri. He was very happy that fate had let them meet once more. In the end, Satoru said that he had never stopped believing. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.